everyone, welcome back to another video. You may remember some of the old classic style videos where I listed 20, 30 or 50 items I did not buy as a minimalist. Today we want to bring a bit of a twist to that video, and I'm joined by my partner Tom, and we are each going to share 15 things we think as a household we do not buy and see if we agree. I don't think either of us would describe ourselves as being exactly minimal, but we are both pretty sensible when it comes to spending money. And do just remember, this is all for a bit of fun. I'm sure there'll be things that we list in this video that you disagree with and you can totally see the value of spending money on. And likewise, there will be things that we spend money on that you would disagree with. Over to you.
Branded food in supermarkets. Like cereals. Branded cereals cost about £3 or £4 a box, whereas like the own brand equivalent is less than £1. I can't justify spending triple the amount on exactly the same thing, and usually it is exactly the same thing. I've never noticed a difference between the branded stuff and the own supermarket stuff.
That is a thing though, isn't it? They say that some of the products literally come from the same factory and they're just packaged differently. So where that's the case, why would you spend more?
What we got?
I'm going for car accessories, and with things like this I mean things like seat covers or steering wheel covers, or like those ornaments you hang from your rear view mirror, or organisers for your boot of your car. I just don't see the point in any of these things. They seem like a novelty to me, and my car is a very functional place and I haven't ever seen any advantage to having them, so I wouldn't waste any money on them.
Next one, coffee. Specifically takeout coffees. Again, similar to my cereal rant, a takeout coffee costs like £4 or £5, when at home it will cost you a fraction of that price to make one.
We get like boxes of 8 with the ones I get, and then you will buy like a whole bag of coffee, which is
about £4 for the whole thing. But that might be a treat to some people. Just something that personally I would never justify to myself the money that would cost to do that. Especially if you make it a regular thing as well. I'd rather have that £5 saved up for something else, something that I actually enjoy.
My next one is collectibles, and this comes from a perspective of when I was younger, like a child going into a teenager. I did collect things. That was something I enjoyed to do, but as an adult I can see it as it's just something that becomes a bit of a money pit, because you constantly feel like you've got to add to the collection and constantly spend more money maintaining that, particularly when you think of things in terms of rarity, and the rarer something is, the more desirable it is to have it, but then naturally it becomes more expensive. And with a collection of any sort, you've got to find somewhere to store it or even display it if you want it out. You've got to look after it and protect it. And it's the sort of thing, even if you have a collection to later on sell, it's only as valuable as someone else deems it to be. And so for me, going down the rabbit hole of starting a collection of something almost seems like dangerous territory. So it's something I actively avoid.
Next one, food delivery. As illustrated by a lovely picture of a house and a bicycle.
Your drawings are lovely.
Talking about Uber and Just Eat and those sort of companies, mainly because there's an admin fee to use those platforms. You then got to pay a delivery fee for someone to come to your house. We're fortunate enough to live fairly close to lots of fast food places and like restaurants for takeaways, that sort of thing. It doesn't make sense for us to order something in when we can be at a McDonald's in 10 minutes, order something and we're home straight away. And it would cost us less money and fuel to do that. Or if we walked into the village for some sort of other takeaway, I'd rather do that than spend the money on getting someone else to come and do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Easy one. My next one, I feel like it's a little bit controversial, and it's one of these ones that just comes down to personal opinion, and that is tattoos. I have never personally seen the value in getting a tattoo. I know some people sort of see them as artistic or a way to express themselves. That's just not me. I've never seen a tattoo that I have liked the look of, and to be quite honest, I'm really fickle. I change my mind about things like style, aesthetics, about things. I would probably, if I had one, regret it very quickly. I find them to be really expensive, and so it's not something I would ever justify spending that sort of money on. But I guess you could liken it to another hobby. Someone might be perfectly happy to spend hundreds of pounds on a tattoo, whereas I think that money is better spent elsewhere. So that one's just personal preference.
Designer clothes. I don't just mean like branded clothes, I mean like high-end designer clothes. We both shop at branded shops sometimes. We don't just solely shop at one brand because it's that brand.
Yeah.
So we'd never go to somewhere because it has that logo, because it has that name. We usually shop on what's been a quality product in the past, and then we continue to use them, rather than it being like something you can wear to show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we both want our clothes to last, so ultimately we spend less money on them over time. And so if we found brands that work for us on the quality basis, then we know we can trust that brand to go back to, and our clothes will last a long time. My next one is seasonal homeware, and I feel like I've talked about this one in the past before, but the idea of having like a different set of, for example, plates just for Christmas because they've got like a festive pattern on, or different cushions I put out in the autumn or things like that. It's too much stuff for me, and I suppose in a way that's one of the ways I still am quite minimal, in that having things that I change for the seasons and can only use for a very limited amount of time seems unnecessary. I want my homewares to be something that I can use year round and not have to keep changing them out and having to store loads of different things.
Next one, interior decor and design services. I felt like it's something that my opinion's changed on since we've done this office together. Because before we did, our go-to thinking was, let's get somebody in to quote up how much it will cost to do this to this room, and then we pay them to get on with it.
Because it'd be quicker, hopefully you can assure the quality,
Yeah.
all of that.
But because of the price of that being literal thousands, we then started to look into doing it ourselves and what would it realistically cost. And we quickly learned that with lots of DIY stuff, if you make a mistake, it's quite easy to fix it. Probably quite intimidated at the beginning, and then once we actually got stuck in and had a go, it was much easier than we thought it would be. I think the end result was definitely worth the time that we put into it. Obviously, you know, that took a lot longer than what it would take for somebody to come in and do it, but then we had the chance to work out, learn things together.
And you can learn pretty much anything on YouTube and
like enjoy it as a process, rather than just shutting somebody in a room for a few days and then opening the door and it being finished for you.
I think we're really proud. And every time we sit in here, you can kind of feel that. It was like, this is something we built together, and it was time that we spent together, and it was time well spent together.
Well, neither of us had touched a power tool ever prior to starting it.
No.
And in the future, I'd always have a go first now before trying to consult somebody else.
I feel like even if we made a mistake, it would have still been cheaper to have to get a professional to fix that mistake than some of the quotes we had to just knock up 2 bookshelves and build them in. My next one is a tablet, and this solely comes from the perspective of I believe it's superfluous. When I've got a phone that does basically all the things a tablet would do, and then I've also got a PC, and Tom's got a laptop, everything I could possibly need can be done with those devices. It just feels like a tablet is like the in-between device, and it's really unnecessary. I can do everything I need to do from the devices I've already got, and so having a tablet as well, I'm kind of thinking, what's the added benefit there? So that's never something I've owned, and it's not something I can see myself owning.
Sticking to a tech theme, latest phone upgrades. I've never bought the latest model of a phone ever. I think I've always gone for the one before the latest one, or the one before that.
I think I have.
I know people that have bought out of their current contracts because the latest phone has been launched and they want to have that one. And I think when we were a lot younger, like when you were at school, that made more sense, or it seemed more normal, because you went from flip phones to like Blackberries and the very first touchscreen phones, and then the smartphones came out as we know them now. And it was like the talk of the playground for a few days. If you had the latest iPhone, people would be swarming around you wanting to have a look, that sort of thing. As I've got older, I've realised how much of a money pit that can be. And now, when my phone contract runs out, I'll just switch it to a SIM-only one until the phone dies.
I've always done that. My next one is kitchen gadgets, and I put in brackets air fryer because it feels like everyone has an air fryer now. I might be showing my age. I feel like everything I have in my kitchen, which is just the basics, covers everything I would need to do. And then even down to like little kitchen gadgets, you know, the ones that like can chop vegetables in certain ways and makes dicing easier, but then you have to take them all apart to wash them and they're all a bit complicated. I just don't feel like they're necessary. I feel like I can do everything with just the basics in the kitchen, and this is not required. And a lot of gadgets are really expensive, and so why would I spend any more money to achieve the same outcome? So we don't really have lots of kitchen gadgets.
Next one. Cigarettes and vaping. I've never smoked, I've never vaped, and it's something that I'm definitely not going to start anytime soon. When we went to school, we were taught about the negatives of cigarettes from like day one, and we had the introduction of cigarette packets that had all these really horrible pictures on them, and they're kept behind all the cabinets in corner shops.
Whereas, like, when my grandparents were younger, it was like the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So you can kind of understand how they got drawn into that, I suppose.
But something that I wouldn't pick up the habit of anytime soon.
No.
No.
Same vein, just pick this out whilst you're on that one. Energy drinks. This is one of those things that I've never seen the point in, but I suppose, like with smoking, I've never got into it, so why would I start now? Especially with something that is, you know, potentially quite addictive. Why would I start down the path, like with the knowledge I have now, onto something that can be addictive, and if it becomes addictive, can then become very expensive? There's just no point in beginning down that road, and so this is something I actively avoid. Also, I don't think they're very nice. I've had like one Red Bull ever, and I didn't like it.
Next, video games. I would have thought very differently to this years and years ago. Probably when I was 16, this would have been my priority. A lot of the games that I played when I was younger were things like racing games or Guitar Hero, and they're all things that were relevant to the hobbies that I have now. So I feel like I kind of grew out of playing the game version of it and started doing that through my hobbies in real life. I ditched Guitar Hero to play an actual guitar. When I got a car of my own, I was really enthusiastic about my own car rather than designing one in a game.
A virtual one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as well, as you get older, at least for me, it was harder to justify spending time in games. It's more of like a time cost as well as just a money cost, because what you are achieving in a game is only an achievement in a game, and I want my achievements to be something, you know, in reality that will make an actual difference to my life. So I guess as I got older, I got a bit switched off to games. Plus, games are really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like 70, 80 pounds now? That's not how much we used to spend on games back in my day.
No.
On the same vein, in-app purchases. I have never bought anything in an app, think sort of with games like additional unlockable features or downloadable content that you have to pay for, or to pay to remove ads inside an app. I can't justify spending that sort of money. It's not something that makes any sense to me. I have paid for apps before, like I'll pay for Canva, and that's related to what I do with social media, but I've never paid for anything within an app for sort of the sake of ease or to have more features.
Another really quick one for me, sports packages. I've never taken any enjoyment in any sport in my entire life.
We play badminton.
To watch a sport,
Okay.
anyway. So this would be a total waste of money, even if I did buy one, because I would never watch it anyway. The only sport that I ever would watch would be the World Cup or the Euros, but they're all on like BBC and ITV anyway, so there's no need for me to buy a sports package for anything. Again,
another thing that when you start adding them on, it really snowballs and becomes really expensive really quickly. And I always say, like, half the time, I don't know why we own a TV, because we're always too busy to sit and watch anything. I'm going for novelty gifts next, and this again comes from more my feelings about it, projecting onto how I shop for other people, and again coming from a minimal point of view, in that I don't see any added value when someone gives me a sort of novelty knick-knack gift. Think like stocking fillers at Christmas, where people put them in just to make the present look a little bit more, and I always worry that it makes me sound really ungrateful, but if there's no sort of point and purpose to the object, I'm kind of like, okay, what do I do with it? And it will sit on a shelf or in a cupboard until enough time has passed where I don't feel guilty about decluttering it. And I know someone has spent time and money picking that out, but I don't see the value in those little knickknacks. And so when I shop for other people for gifts, I will usually just outright ask them what they want, so I know what I'm getting for them is something they want, or I will just buy them that main present and that will be it, and I won't feel the need to sort of gap fill with that, or buy them something where it's more of an experience than it is an actual physical present, and that I always just feel avoids this. You're so enthusiastic all of a sudden.
Next one, lottery tickets. I've never bought a lottery ticket, and it's really unlikely that I'll go out and buy one in the future. I feel like people get sucked into this mentality of chasing the same numbers, and then they can't stop buying a lottery ticket in case the numbers come up and they actually end up winning it.
When you say people?
I mean you. Yeah, I feel like it'd be hard to stop purchasing them once you start, because there'll always be that thing in the back of your mind of, if I don't buy it, then what if his numbers come up? What if?
Yeah, I did have my numbers when I was 16. I bought my first lottery ticket on my 16th birthday, and I've had the same numbers since.
Yeah. But if you win, do let me know, and we'll split it, but I'm not willing to pay for the ticket.
Okay. My next one is online courses, and this is something I came across a lot more when I was doing all the side hustle stuff. People sort of suggesting as a good way to make money online is to sell your own course. And then a lot of that became courses about selling courses, and it really did start to snowball a little bit. And there were a lot of free versions available that you could watch all the way through but not actually gain anything from. There was no value in the information given, in order to then sell you the premium version that would teach you something. And for me, that always screams like there's no guarantee you're going to get anything from that, and you're putting your money up front. And it really did feel like it was just someone trying to make money from me without giving me anything valuable in return. My only exception to this would be something that would benefit me at work, to learn something to do with my job or my career. But for that sort of thing, my work would be paying for that anyway. But I would never buy into an online course that someone was selling.
Next, alcohol. Quite similar to the coffee one, of it costs a lot more to buy a pint in a pub than it does to drink it at home. Mm-hmm. Price of a pint now is like £6-7. Even in some places like airports, you're going to be paying like over £8 for a pint. And again, similar to coffee, it becomes like a thing that you could quite easily fall into the routine of Friday after work, go for a drink. Like we get asked all the time at work, are we going to the pub tonight? We're going to the pub tonight. We usually say no to that one. But people do, they have it as part of their routine.
It's like their treat at the end of the week.
And that is never usually just one. That always ends up being a couple. Then you end up spending money on like taxis home, or they then get food out as part of that as well. And it just becomes too expensive in the long run.
I think for me as well, it's just like the energy drinks and the cigarettes. I have never been someone who drinks alcohol, so I don't really know what I'm missing out on. I can't see the point of it. And when I see other people drink and see the outcome of that, if anything, it turns me off from it more. That makes me think I want to do that and I want to get involved. So I guess it's easy to say it's not something you spend money on when it's not something you're interested in the first place. Good. Whoa. My next one is high-end makeup, but I think you've got one.
Something very similar, yeah, cosmetics.
For me, specifically makeup, but I suppose it does apply to other high-end beauty products of any description, is that I'm going to put it on, and then at the end of the day, I'm just going to wash it off. And so I can only justify spending so much money on something that is just going to get washed down the sink. If I can achieve the same effect by using the sort of stuff I can buy in Boots, then I'm going to do that over spending 30, 40 more pounds on, let's say, a powder. I used to shop like that, and I used to think the brand really mattered. And yes, in some cases, the quality is better with higher end products, but it's not better quality enough, I think, to justify that extra expense. And so I just stick to your low to middle brands, and I find it works just fine. What about yours?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very similar. The main thing, like, for men, I suppose, is things like aftershave and like toiletries. I can't justify spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds on a bottle of aftershave when the one that's £50 is good enough for me. And it'd be like, usually you end up finding like your fragrance and sticking with it. So I can't justify spending more money on that. Or things like toiletries as well. Like, I'll probably spend about £10 on my toiletries for the whole month. And that's fine, like I get what I need from that. There's no point in me spending a lot more money on that. And I don't smell too bad either, so I think we're okay.
True. And what you said about how you find a fragrance you like, there's no point in spending loads of money on a product where on the surface you may feel like it's something for you, like a scent, or like with makeup, but then you've spent the money and then you realise actually it's not for you, it's not what you thought it would, but you've just spent hundreds of pounds on it. It's kind of like, weigh up the risk with it, really. My next one is luxury pet items. When I first had my bunnies, I definitely sort of fell into the whole, I want to spoil them, I want to give them everything, and quickly realised how unnecessary that is. What is important is they have the things they need for them to live well, healthy and happy. And some of this extra stuff, as well as being unnecessary, is not necessarily safe or well suited to them. So I always just strip it back to the basics, make sure they've got all their essentials, a few little toys to keep them entertained, and that's it. And I don't waste any money on things that are unnecessary for my pets.
Next, meal subscription kits. In the past, we've both used meal subscription kits only when they're on some sort of massive discount for them. So like, for example, recently through Strava, they did one with some of these subscription kits that was £14 for 5 meals for 5 days for both of us.
Or the ones where you get your first box and all you have to pay for is the delivery. That's quite good.
Yeah, which made sense because then that's saving money over the shop.
Yeah, it's less than what we would have spent on that amount of meals in our weekly shop. So you can justify it.
But when they're at the full price, I think for what you get, it doesn't justify the cost.
No.
Especially for things like vegetables or like things like butter and things like that are used in the recipes. You obviously only get the part of that you need for the meal. You don't get what you buy from the shop of a tub of butter or a massive bag of peas, which means in the long run you end up spending loads more money than what you need to.
I think as well, when you look at the cost of these meal kits when they are full price or the meal subscription services, and you see that it's maybe £45 for 5 meals for 2 people or however they do it, and you almost think, well, that's cheaper than my weekly shop, so that must be a good deal, but you don't consider that's only your main meals of the day. What about your lunches and your breakfasts and the other little bits you have? And we even get like our cleaning stuff and toiletries all within that same price when we do our weekly shop, so it doesn't actually work out to be cheaper and you're getting less. So I don't think we can justify the cost of those unless they're on some sort of really big discount. My next one is beauty appointments, and I think the only exception for both of us with this is hair. You get your hair cut way more regularly than I do. I've had my hair cut once this year, and maybe I'll get it done again this year, and I will not go to a salon anymore that charges a premium rate for a simple dry cut, because I just have mine tidied up and that's it. I've not had highlights done for years and I don't intend to. What I mean by this is other beauty appointments. Think brows, think waxing, think nails, any of that. That is all stuff I can do for a fraction of the cost at home, and I would rather just do it myself. And that's not to say I wouldn't very occasionally for a special occasion maybe have my nails done, but it's not something I would do regularly and sort of consider in my budget as something I need to make sure I've got the money available for, because I do it all myself.
Next one, window cleaner. Like everything, the cost of window cleaners has gone up massively. I was shocked when a guy came to the door the other day and wanted £90 to do an initial cleaning and then set you up on a subscription for £30 every 2 weeks. I'm sure there's people that are cheaper than that. However, to stay competitive, they're going to probably be quite similar.
Yeah.
And I can't justify the cost.
No. And I think it is something you can do yourself. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But it is, like, downstairs is easy. I can do the downstairs windows quite easily. The upstairs ones are a bit fiddly. Yeah. But you can do it. We don't have that many windows. We're only a small house. So, yeah, I don't think we can justify that one. My next one is new hobbies. And I don't mean don't start new hobbies. I mean think it through. Because I have definitely been the person who has wasted money thinking they want to try new hobbies and not following through with them. I've made a video on this in the past, sort of reflecting on the fact that to start a new hobby, you don't need to have new everything and the best of everything to at least try it out, and it's worth trying it out before investing loads of money in a hobby if you're not sure if you're going to see it through. I've done sort of growing your own veggies, I've done pottery, I've done graphic illustration, and bought things, literally spent hundreds of pounds on these things, a lot of it was in lockdown, in the past, and then not seen them through. And so I've sort of learnt to do it the other way, to find a way to explore a hobby, decide if it's for me before then putting loads of money into it, and then usually you find the ones you're going to stick to, and then you can justify spending more money on that particular hobby. So your last one?
Last one. Magazines. Again, another thing you can get sucked into subscriptions for. And we all loved magazines as children, especially the Doctor Who ones. We used to get the toy in it that you'd pretend to read, but actually you just want the toy from the magazine.
Look at the pictures.
Look at the pictures,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like in an online world it's becoming similar to newspapers. A lot of the news that I read will be online, it'll be free.
It's like a generational thing though, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like my granddad will still go out and get his newspaper,
Yeah.
whereas because we've never done that, we've always had other ways to get information. It's just not something we've really ever done.
Yeah.
I feel like it's quite a theme here. A lot of these are just, well, we've never done it, so
Yeah.
we don't see the point.
There's loads of like niche magazines out there for like different hobbies that people can see would be why they'd be interested in buying them, but just not for me.
No, I'm with you on that one. And my last one is things with quotes. And I don't actually mean quotes, that's why I put quotes in quotes. Huh? Yeah? I mean things like the live, laugh, love all over the house, or like on the mantelpiece, like something that says family on it, or bathe in the bathroom. That's just not my cup of tea. It's not the vibe I'm going for. I think it's one of those things that feels quite mass produced, and the more you see it, the more it's like, well, it's less personal to me, it's just generic and everybody has it. Whereas I like my aesthetic to sort of reflect me and my tastes, and I would sort of actively avoid those sorts of things, like mass produced like artwork and things in my space. We did it! That's all of them. Are you going to throw another one? And so those are our almost 30 things that we agreed on that we do not think we see the value in spending money on. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you are not already. I will pop another video on the screen that I think you might enjoy. In fact, I can put it right in front of you, just here. I can pop it here. They can't see you now. Thank you for watching. We will see you in another video very soon. Until next time, take care. Bye.